Hey guys, Collin Chi, Certified Nutritional Consultant, Numerologer, bringing you another talk today. Today I want to talk to you guys about, and I want to give you an amazing talk about the top 10 ways to figure out who you are. Top 10 ways to figure out who you are and gain self-awareness. Okay? So you have to have a lot of different experiences and explore different disciplines and use different tools in order to gain self-awareness, because sometimes it's hard to figure out who we are. You know, it often takes time, and that's one element here. But I'm going to go through my top 10 list because it's sometimes hard to remain contiguous with who you are and who your true self is inside, and it's sometimes hard to also live up to that in the outer world. So how do you do it? How can we gain a better understanding in ourselves, and what are some of the ways to do that? Okay, so let's start with number 10, folks. My favorites here. The best ways, the easiest ways, the most accurate ways. Okay, number 10. Trusting yourself and believing in yourself. Okay, these are hugely important if you want to gain any kind of self-awareness, because as Emerson said, okay, self-respect is the early form in which greatness appears. What he was really saying is trusting yourself and respecting your own true self is the early form in which greatness appears, because you can go from good to great simply by the power of believing in yourself, simply by the power of believing that you are great. Okay, and respecting your thoughts and trusting that your thoughts are amazing and genius, and that you have something to offer and give to the world, and a special gift that no one else has, because you are a unique human being to give to the world that can change things and illuminate the world and illuminate your own world. Okay, so if you have that confidence, if you trust yourself, you believe your own thought to be true, it actually can often make you even less lazy, because you are more prone to actually getting off your butt and doing something if you believe you can do it. So whether it's researching something, or whether it's figuring out a mathematical equation, you know, or whether it's creating some art piece that you don't think you can do, you have to believe, and that takes you leaps and bounds. Your technical ability may be here at this yellow chakra right there, and it may take you leaps and bounds up to maybe this chakra to be able to communicate yourself simply just by believing that you can do it. I mean, any artist that really does not have great technical ability but believes strongly in himself and his ability can instantly jump. It's happened to me in my life. Instantly jump to a much higher, better command of technique, simply because you believe you can. You figure it out by believing. You're more prone to figuring out. You're less lazy. You're more proactive, because you think, okay, I can do this, so let me figure it out. If you can't do it, you have no motivation to do it. You're like, okay, I can't do it. I might as well not do it, right? So, really important. Number 10, trusting yourself and believing in yourself. Okay, so number 9, and this is going to span all kinds of different disciplines here and different techniques, all right? So number 9, pain and suffering. Hugely important if you want to gain any kind of self-awareness. Why? Mainly because when you go through pain and suffering, it really makes you thankful for what you have. So, and thankful for the times when you're not suffering and when you're not in pain. So that just altered, better outlook on life overall gives you a better outlook on yourself as well, and helps you to better understand life and better understand your own issues, simply by being thankful for the times that you don't have the issues, if that makes any sense. And pain and suffering destroys your illusions and your delusions, okay? It really breaks down your ego, your illusions, your false senses of self. When you go through hell, it easily breaks what is not the most true in you. When you go through hell, you find at bottom the most basic truth about yourself and about who you are and about your existence. When you hit rock bottom, you find something down there very deep and very important and essential to your survival. Okay, your psychological and philosophical and emotional, spiritual survival depends on this very basic thing. You know, it could be, you figured out about yourself that you're a writer, deep down there at the bottom. Like, for me to be happy, I have to write. That's what you figured out. Or for me to be happy, I gotta crunch numbers all day. Or for me to be happy, I gotta be a successful speaker. Or I gotta be a successful business owner. I gotta own my own business. When you've had enough depression, pain, suffering, physical pain, anguish, helps you find what is most true to you, because everything else is destroyed and broken away from you. Because you're a broken man, you're a broken person until, boom, you hit that bottom and you see a nugget of truth and gold down there. That's key, all right? So next thing, number 8, reading, writing, and research. Okay, the 3 R's, if you will. Reading, writing, and research. You know, reading and writing important because it's a practice in language. It's a practice in learning new words, learning different ways to describe who you are, different philosophies. If you read anything, it's always showing somebody's philosophy. That's showing you end up getting a very wide range and variety of different beliefs that help you kind of figure out, oh, hey, that's what I believe, what that guy said, what that philosopher said. He stole my words. You know, I could have written this 10 years ago, but you didn't know that that's how you thought until, boom, somebody explained it in the correct language and the correct words for you. So, and then you go into the process of learning more words and learning more, just that process of understanding, how to describe things. It's a practice in learning how to describe your thoughts, okay, detailing your thoughts, okay, journaling, writing, okay, collecting your thoughts. Writing helps you and journaling helps you to collect your thoughts and reflect on them, look back, look at them, a couple weeks later and say, okay, that's how I thought then. It really helps you to kind of organize your thoughts and organize and really delve deep. It's important if you're a true philosopher and you're trying to figure things out and mine the metaphysical foundations underneath everything, or the motivations or desires that are driving your behaviors. Deep down there in writing, you figure out how to detail that and how to describe that and communicate that to your own self, and if you want, to others. So really important to figure out who you are. Research, like I said, to know yourself, you have to know nature. That's why research is so important. Because if you don't, if you're conditioned by our upbringing and education that's all lies, such as MTV and Christmas and whatever we're taught in school and whatever our parents tell us, and the life we know that is made up of football and television and just garbage culture, that is not reality. That is not nature. Once you start to study and research, you start to learn different things about nature, about the world we live in, about how things work, how the money system works, how plants grow, how just anything, learning anything, researching anything whatsoever is really going to broaden your self-concept of who you are. If you know that the universe is giant and you're just this tiny blue dot, the universe is, 100 billion galaxies and 100 billion stars per galaxy or something, right? This is important, researching, okay? Number 7, okay, dreams. I'm also going to kind of lump into this the study of psychology, okay? Because dreams, this was an important interpretation, an important source of interpretation for Freud and Jung and some of the well-known psychologists when psychology began. Interpreting your dreams, delving into the subconscious and trying to figure out your desires, your motivations, underlying things. Freud would boil it down to sex, a lot of it. But in dreams, your fears come out, your frustrations come out in dreams. A lot of the unconscious or subconscious or things that you repressed and sent down to your subconscious, during the day because they were the thoughts were too painful or they weren't useful or they were negative, so you suppressed them, you sent them down there, or they weren't socially acceptable. You kind of do this in an unconscious fashion on a daily basis. Those things manifest in dreams. They can give you an awakening of another part of your mind, another layer of your brain. Okay, you got a triune brain. You got 3 layers. You got the amygdala. You got the brain stem, basically. You got the midbrain, and then you got the neocortex, right? So there's basically 3 brains, superimposed on top of each other, through evolution. The brain stem, starting here, with, reptiles and things. And then, we evolve up to apes with a giant, and humans or whatever. If you believe in evolution, I think there's more to evolution than meets the eye. But, anyway, that's the scenario. So dreams, to them, it was a very valuable, source of information to elucidate the self, to figure out who you are and why you're behaving the way you're behaving. They would also use techniques like hypnosis and techniques like, word association and things of this nature. So they had other techniques, but dreams were very, very important. Start writing down your dreams, documenting your dreams. Some people don't remember their dreams well, which actually, by the way, vitamin B6 is studied for dream recall. Some people don't remember their dreams that well, but if you start to write it down first thing in the morning each day, then you will begin to start to remember better because you have that conscious choice in your head that I'm going to remember this. So, number 6 here. Number 6, drugs. Yes, drugs are an important and valuable way to figure out who you are because they amplify your senses. They intensify your senses. They intensify the thoughts you're already having. They really, I'm talking about, it could be shrooms, it could be DMT, it could be marijuana, cannabis, it could be, what else is there? Peyote. I mean, you name it, acid. There's many different drugs. I'm not advocating that you should go out and do drugs. It's only for, a select few, or it's really only for certain types of people to experiment with these things. But they draw you closer to your inner voice, I find, because they're amplifying. Especially cannabis, to me, it will almost it's going to amplify your internal thoughts, your inner voice. You can hear your inner voice. You're closer to your inner voice, to me, because I mean that's what happens. You quiet to some degree. Things around you are quieted. Your mind in some ways is quieted, and then yet it's amplified in its internal voice. To me, this is what happens. So you can hear your thoughts better. You're more focused on your thoughts, and you're kind of like behind this screen almost that you're watching life in front of you, and you're inside your head a lot more when you're on cannabis. So, DMT, shrooms, these psychedelic, these trips that we can have that give us ideas about, what else could be out there, other realms. They give us, I haven't done a lot of these things, but I've done some. They will kind of give you, this sense of union with your fellow man and this love for all humanity, and just, really expand and blow your mind. Altered states of consciousness really kind of give you another perspective on your own self, another perspective on your own reality, help you think a lot more creatively, which is also thinking a lot more self-trusting and self-relying and believing in yourself when you're thinking more creatively. You can't be creative if you don't believe in yourself and you don't think your thoughts are important and your talents are important and you are important. So that's, those are some awesome ones. We're talking about the pineal that, is activated in a number of these. That really is your inner eye, and it's what gets activated in dreams. Your pineal is what gets activated by ayahuasca or DMT, and produces this molecule, that DMT, which is what happens in your dreams when you're sleeping and when you die. When on your deathbed, people see the light and they see things, and then they come back to life and they report how they saw images, and this is your mind's eye. Okay, this is where you can see other realms beyond your own, beyond something. There's something beyond. Okay, it helps you lift the veil just a little bit on your own normal program, mechanical, westernized, neocortex central, thinking logical brain. Okay, it obliterates some of that and helps you think from a different area of your brain, right? Different blood flow, more blood flow to different areas. Okay, this is a good thing for self-awareness, for understanding who you are. If you don't see the value, then don't do it. Be safe either way. And be cautious, okay, about those experiences. Number 5, palmistry. Okay, palmistry is, it's an ancient science originating in India, they think, spread to Tibet and China, Persia, Sumeria. Some of these other areas were active cultures in the science and art of palmistry. Palmistry's been really, really accurate, crazily accurate. Palmistry can tell you things like how many children you're gonna have, how long you're gonna live. It's a form of divination where people try to elucidate more about themselves. So it's a great tool because it's very, very accurate. I also recommend thinking independently and critically about what you read and thinking for yourself when it comes to understanding what you're seeing on your palm and not just going by what the books say, thinking on your own about it. But your left hand is supposedly what you're born with. Your right hand actually changes a lot more often and changes every about 3 months or less. It's an actively changing thing. The right hand is more what you're doing with this lifetime, whereas what you're doing right now, whereas the left hand is more like your nature. This right hand could be considered more your nurture and what you've done with your life. So it's very interesting. I found it to be crazily accurate. Look into it before you poo-poo it. Research it, study it before you decide that it's, bullcrap, because I'm a pretty scientific guy, and at the same time, I really see the hugely accurate aspects of this stuff. So that's an interesting one. It's really good, really good. I mean, it's been amazing for me among all of these. All of these have been amazing. So number 4. Experiences. Experiences, I'm going to lump in experiments and other people into this. So having experiences, okay, that's one of the biggest ways to gain knowledge of self, knowledge of your nature, knowledge of who you are or who you want to be. Because when you're, exposed to many different things, more variety, kind of gives you more possibilities of who you could be, or possibilities of self, or you're so kind of narrow-minded and you don't have the education, you don't know what the world is really. if you're, you know, born in a small town and you never leave that small town, it's you know, it's hard to know what else is out there for you, and you know, you're living a very narrow existence, a very narrow. You have a very so therefore you have a very narrow self concept, you know, which is bad. It's very bad to have a narrow self concept. You know, you should have a very expansive, very very loosely defined concept of yourself, or have no concept. You know, whatever you want to do. You know, experiments. You try different things. You learn things. You learn new things. It's important, and you learn new things about who you are. You know, you experiment. You come up against more and different kinds of challenges. You're able to express yourself in different ways and see where you are stuck and see where you are, what you're good at, and all these different things. So, and other people, you know, experiences with other people. Other people are obviously great sources of feedback because they have different opinions than you. So they kind of act as a buffer to, you know, to who you are, and give you they offer you an opposition, you know, to who you are. So because they're different, you know, they're different than you. They show you. You know, they can expose some of your flaws because, you know, they'll oppose if you are out of line or whatever, you know. So other people, obviously a good mirror to look at somebody else because they're coming from another perspective on who you are. They can see maybe something that you yourself can't see if they know you really well, you know, because you're sometimes blinded by your own light. You know, in astrology, if you have a bunch of planets near your sun, for instance, your sun kind of can outshine and blind the other planets. You know, the energies can kind of get muddled if they're all together with each other. You can have a difficult time, like in a certain house. Like let's say you have a stellium, you got 4 or 5 planets in one house all together. You know, a couple of them might kind of blur the other ones because they're all so close to each other. It's hard to see yourself if you're too close to yourself also. So you have to get sources of things outside of yourself. You know, you have to go beyond your own self and experience what other people think and like. So that's important. Number 3, genetics. To really figure out your nature, especially your, you know, your ancestry, your you know, your nature to a large degree is your genetics. Yes, there's epigenetics that you can control your DNA to some degree through your diet, but you can't change all of them. If you have a double mutation on a certain gene, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. So figuring out your genetics is really interesting way to figure out your limitations, what you need to work on. It's really important if you're looking into health and nutrition to you know, go to 23andme.com. 23andme.com, awesome. They tell you your ancestry, and they tell you your genetics, and you can, if you know how to really hack your genetics, which I do, on figuring out whether you have a health issue, because they don't give you as much health information as they used to. The FDA went in, took away a lot of the health information they gave you about your genetics. Now and then they took it away for a while, and now I think they're offering some health information, but not anywhere near as much as what they were. So you still might need to go in and hack your genes, your SNPs, to figure out where your mutations are at. This can be valuable knowledge to accept who you are, and to you know, like I said, if you have one mutation, because there's always a pair. You got one mutation, the other one is good, then you know, you might realize, okay, maybe I need to support that one. It's like having one kidney functioning, you know. One parent gives you one gene, the other parent gives you another gene. So you always have a pair. So if they both give you a faulty gene, then you got a double mutation. Otherwise, you just got one mutation, one that's working properly, you know. So really been valuable for me for health and nutrition knowledge about what my issues are and how to figure out how to heal any of my physical issues. And it's really cool to find out your ancestry. And that really gives you amazing self-awareness. What your ancestors were doing, what your history, what all your previous lives, your genetics are essentially your previous lives, you know, because your parents are your past life, and then their parents are their past life. You know, you are part of this family that's come down. It has this history. Really awesome to know about. Your great-great-grandmother was this person, and your great-great-grandfather was this kind of person. He was a fisherman, and you know, they ate this kind of food, and they all lived in this area. It can really help you figure out what maybe you should be eating, or you know, maybe you had a potato famine. You were from Ireland. Maybe you ended up with a deficiency of potassium because of that, calcium. You know, it's interesting to think about this stuff. Number 2, we're getting down to the wire here, folks. We're getting down to the wire. Number 2. Okay, numbers. Number 2 is numbers and numerology. Okay, mathematics, numerology. Numerology's been probably the second most amazing source of self-awareness for me. Crazy accurate. So accurate. I mean, numbers, you can't fudge numbers, folks. I encourage you to look into and study it very deeply before you start to limit yourself limit your self-concepts by just focusing on one number or something. Okay, I'm a life path number 5, so I am this way. No, there's about 30 different numbers you could probably figure out that tell you different parts of yourself. It basically breaks down different parts of yourself. This number represents your personality. Your personality is resonating on this vibration. You know, number 6 personality, let's say. You're a caretaker. You want to take care of everybody. And then let's say your life path is number 5. You know, the path you're going to walk and the style that you're going to live and the experiences you're going to have to deal with. Number 5, okay, freedom. It's going to be a lot of travel in your you know, a lot of change, and you know, you may move a lot as a child, things like this. You know, you could figure out that you're in a pinnacle number 2, you know, this for the next 9 years, and you're supposed to be thinking about partnership and or not necessarily marriage, but partnership and cooperation, and not necessarily always wanting to be a leader, but being willing to be receptive and following even, and be cooperative. You know, these things might manifest as a number 2. You're also, as a number 2, the peacemaker. So, you know, numerology, it's just been incredible. I mean, Pythagoras was one of the smartest guys. He gave us geometry. He gave us a lot of different things in mathematics. You know, Pythagoras was a huge believer and had his own system of numerology. This guy studied in Egypt. He studied in Greece. You know, he was a worldly kind of guy that knew some stuff. He's what you know, the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equal to the length of its sides. Okay, you remember that from geometry, I think, or algebra. So he gave us a lot in mathematics. Numbers are just incredible because everything in the universe gives off a frequency, a particular frequency, you know, which means, you know, the length between crests in a vibration, you know, this is music. Okay, so if this is a crest, here's another crest of this wave, this vibration, this frequency that everything in the universe gives off. This is the length between crests. You can map that number there, okay? The number that's spanning that gap, okay? That's a number. Okay, if it's wider, it's a different frequency. Okay, this could be a number 2, or you know, whatever, number 2, number 3, number 4, you know, number 5. Okay, vibration. Everything knowing your vibrations and knowing vibrations, knowing hertz, different hertz. You know, the planet Earth resonates on, I think, a 7 point something hertz range. You know, what is the frequency of your brain? You know, it's in the 15 to 30 hertz range for beta waves, I think, or 20 to 30 hertz for beta waves in your brain. There's different brain waves, right? That's different frequencies. The rocks, the lamp, the tree, they all give off a vibration. You can map these, you can graph these, you can figure out numbers. Everything essentially is numbers. This is like a secret code that you can start to figure out what words mean if you interpret them numerologically. Interesting. This is you know, what does the word love mean? What does the word truth mean? You know, you think about it in that different, you kind of like, you start to figure out this secret language that nobody knows, that is very, very accurate. Okay, numerology, through names, through your name and your birth date, figures out, you know, figures out who you are. Okay, so you know, if you're, you know, you have a destiny number from your name number, that can tell you, you know, what you seek to accomplish before leaving this realm, before leaving Earth. Okay, that's another number. Okay, you have a soul urge number, basically your hidden motivations, your hidden desires. You could be number 8, hidden motivation, hidden desire number, which is called the soul urge. Yet you could be a completely different number for your personality. So let's say your personality is number 6. You know, you look like you're this caretaker, but your hidden desire is to have money and you know, number 8, money, power, authority, things like this. Interesting stuff. Really, really interesting. Really breaks apart each little part of yourself. Like I said, there's like 30 different numbers you can figure out. So it's been incredible. So number 1, the number 1 most amazing source of gaining self-awareness. This might sound whack to some people who are a lot more conditioned and people who have never researched this stuff. But to me, number 1, my opinion, for me, astrology. Okay, astrology. You can't even begin to understand the profoundness of astrology unless you have studied it in depth. Okay, if you just look up your horoscope and look up your sun sign, you're not going to think it's the most amazing thing on earth. That I can't believe it's not taught in every school on every corner of the street, because it's been the most mind-blowing, most amazing, most accurate thing I've ever found in life. The most accurate thing ever that I've found in life. I mean, that's a huge claim, right? And you guys probably think astrology is bullshit because you've been conditioned that way. You don't realize that it's just astronomy, that it's an ancient science, that it's the most ancient science, it's the most ancient religion, it's the most original kind of knowledge that we have about the heavens. Okay, you're interpreting. Okay, so these guys had you know, nothing. They weren't watching TV, so they were observing the skies. You know, the Chaldeans back, you know, a couple thousand years, or what is it, 5,000 years ago. The Chaldeans, you know, are observing the skies, and they over millennia figure out when certain planets are in certain positions, this kind of shit happens. When Saturn is overhead, or when the sun is in the constellation Capricorn, or the moon in the constellation Capricorn, or whatever, in Mars in the constellation Capricorn, certain events happen. And it's so crazy true. I mean, some astrologers will say that you can predict every single event in a person's life if you really know astrology really well. It's crazy. It's been the most accurate, you know. I know a guy, one of my friends. He's an older guy. Shout out to you, Andrew. This guy has read every freaking book there is. Okay, he's a very intelligent, very smart guy. He's read a lot of books spanning many different subjects. This guy's really a researcher, reader. Okay, he's a bookworm. Okay, he knows a lot, and to him, he says there's nothing else in life like astrology. And I say the same thing. There's nothing else like astrology. Nothing compares to it. It's like, it's just, there's so many different ways you can interpret it. You really got to think about it. So Saturn may be overhead. You're talking about this time of year, Saturnalia, Christmas, right now, December 17th to the 25th, 26th. This time of year, we're in the constellation Capricorn, okay? So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is death, okay? Saturn is the Grim Reaper. Saturn is limitation. Saturn is cold. It's the old man. It's, number 6. It's the hex. It's also number 8. Okay, these energies, this time of year, you might have more death come to you in some way. Your friend might tell you that somebody died around this time of year. This actually happened to me a couple days ago, which is terrible. And I start thinking about all these crazy things. One of the customers I used to help a lot, at the health food store, his wife comes in and tells me that he died around this time. And then my other friend at work, he starts talking about death, and his friend that died around this same time. Okay, he had a friend basically with the last name Cross that actually died on December 21st, which is the solstice, which is when the sun is in the constellation of the Southern Crux, the Southern Cross. Okay, and his last name's Cross, and we're talking about death, Capricorn, Saturn. We're talking about. I didn't even tell this kid anything about that. Somebody just told me that they died, or that their husband died, and then he starts talking about just all this crazy stuff. Okay, this sounds insane, right? This sounds like you could interpret this anyway, and it's just, it's just serendipitous kind of thing. But serendipity is really real. If you're a really conscious person, you have these serendipitous moments every day, and they're mind-blowing, mind-blowing things. So anyway, it's been the most accurate thing. Check out my video, because there's a lot of weight on, I think, the statistics behind the proof behind astrology. If you know the history and you know the statistical observations and the scientific, this is kind of like the scientific and mathematical proof of astrology. I have a video called the Cosmic Clocks. I will put a link below in the description, and I'm talking about a book that really shows some scientific and mathematical proof that the stars and planets affect us. Okay, you can think about statistics what you want. Some people don't think statistics are real enough, but I think it's pretty cool. I mean, these guys will determine, they've shown through statistical analysis that certain people with certain careers have a certain sun sign, or a certain midheaven, or a certain rising sign. And through statistical analysis, they've figured out that, okay, all the people that are doctors have this position, have I don't know, Virgo in, Mercury in Pisces or something. I don't know if that's anything, but there's all these different aspects, okay? Your Mercury, your Venus, knowing where your Mercury is, your Venus, your Saturn, in your natal chart. Study your natal chart. I can't even begin to go into how amazing it is. I don't want to give you all my own personal examples, because it's getting very personal. But really, and I mean no disrespect to anybody who has died recently or in this time. It's just a crazy time of the year, and this is why the ancient Romans, worshipped Saturn at this time of year, because this is when Saturn is in full effect, December, and certain things happen. They've observed these things. So check out my video, the Cosmic Clocks, statistical proof of astrology. I forget the name of it. I will put the link below. It's a great video. Okay, this book is incredible. One of my top 10 mind-blowing, consciousness expanding, vibration raising, amazing, scientific, spiritual science elevating kind of thing. All right, astrology number 1. Collin Chi, a little bit of a personal development video this time. I'm pretty big on that. So study yourself, know yourself. Who is it? Socrates or somebody said, know thyself. Emerson said, know thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Really important to have knowledge of self. If you want to have a more powerful, happy life and true experiences and deep existence, okay, on earth, and fulfill your destiny and fulfill who you want to be and your dreams, make all your dreams and happiness come true, folks. That's what it's all about, man. So anyway, Collin Chi, certified nutritional consultant, numerologer, personal development dude. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe if you want more videos. We do a lot of videos on this channel very regularly, so if you hit the subscribe button, you will get updates on when a video comes out immediately to your phone or computer or whatever. So if you got any comments, put them below. Otherwise, if you'd like a consultation on numerology or nutrition, I am the nutrition guru big time. Hit me up at collinchi@gmail.com. I'll put a link below. collinchi@gmail.com. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure as always. Rise, folks.